how do we boost our productivity so we work less and do more? In this video, I'm gonna share with you the system that I created when I was finishing my PhD dissertation and gave me great results. I was actually facing some postpartum depression, had a 3-month-old baby, and since then I am totally fan of this method because it really allows me to feel productive every day. The first advice I'm gonna give you based on my method is to self-induce joy. Joy is a very important basic emotion. It is linked to an active behavioral tendency in which our body has the signal to remain because it actually protects the well-being. This happy hormone or dopamine is very important for creativity, for productivity. Why? Because when our body is happy, joyful, is relaxed, it sends the signal off to the brain that stay like that, stay cool, you see things brighter. That's why joy actually boosts our productivity. So that's the first goal that I have every day, to have activities that I love to do so I connect my mind, my heart, and my soul to something that I really enjoy doing. So I boost my joyful state and I create headspace and boost my productivity. So how I do it? Simply doing activities that I love to do. This means for me a nice shower with a happy song. This means yoga, meditation, enjoy coffee, maybe have a 10 minutes, 5 minutes video on YouTube that makes me laugh. It really doesn't matter. That's up to you. But what is important is to really set yourself a goal to start the day in a happy mode, in a joyful mood, because this boosts your productivity and your headspace for creativity to see better ideas in a clearer way. The second advice that I want to give you is actually linked to the first one, but in an opposite way. My second key to the method is to avoid anger and fear, particularly in the morning. Similarly, as with joy, anger and fear are linked to active behavioral tendencies, but with opposite purposes. Whereas joy sends the signals to your brain to remain in a pleasant state, anger and fear sends the signal to the brain to leave the event, to fight the event, or to stop whatever is harming you or threatening your body. By doing so, anger and fear generate cortisol, the stress hormone, which is actually very harmful for your body if it's generated at higher levels. Your body needs just a little bit of cortisol, or maybe a lot of cortisol, for a specific challenging situation so your body can react to it, can fight the object, or can flee the harmful event, but by all means is a hormone that has to remain generated for that specific time. If you generate cortisol over time for a very, very long time, this is harmful for the body because you send the signal to the brain that it has to be in a constant state of emergency, which is hardly the case. So by trying to avoid anger and fear, we are actually trying to measure the cortisol level. Another important consequence of this is that when you are under the influence of anger and fear, you see everything as a harm, of a threat to the body, and by doing so, you overreact to things. You see offenses in people that maybe they don't mean it. You maybe see threats in the environment that don't exist. This is because your brain has a signal given by cortisol that is a threat, that is a danger. Therefore, you react accordingly. That's why it's very important to try and keep fear and anger in a moderate level by being conscious of it and reducing the levels of cortisol. You have several techniques to do that, mainly the breath, of course, but a second technique is to create a sense to your body of being in control. This is very important. When you give the signal to the brain that you are under control of a situation, your brain doesn't perceive things as a threat or as a danger, but instead it perceives things as you can actually overcome them or doing them. That's very important. Now, my method to do this is actually quite simple. I follow a technique based on heuristic processing, or in plain words, shortcuts to the brain that tells me I can do this. How do I do that? I categorize all the things that I have to do in my day, and I assign priorities, which in my case is hards and starts. It's a quite simple method that I hope you find useful. I give you an example. Let's say I have 10 things to do in my day. These things I categorize in big clusters of things, and I assign different priorities based on importance and value. Let's say that I have a lot of administrative tasks like sending emails, making payments, and maybe booking doctor appointments for the kids. Let's say these are admin tasks that we all have to do every day. These are important tasks, sometimes urgent, sometimes not, but it's important always to have them on the list, like something I have to do. Now, there are second type of things that are more valuable with regards to my business. These are tasks that I have to do as an entrepreneur. For example, I have to do things with clients, I have to create content, and I have to send a proposal. So these are things that generate value for my business, generate money. Therefore, I need to have my full attention, my full heart, mind, and soul to it, because if I make a mistake, then it will be more difficult for me to overcome this situation. And finally, there are things that we all need to do, especially moms. We need to have the house functioning, everything well. We need to do groceries, we need to clean the kitchen, do laundry, all of those things. Let's say these are the normal house duties that we all need to do. Those things are important, but not that urgent every day. So I spread them over the week, and I have them in a way that are not so needed. For example, I have to do groceries, I have to clean the kitchen, and of course I have to do laundry. So these are basic things that I have to do every day, but I don't need to have full productivity to do them. So how do I organize my day based on these tasks? I assign these categories a cluster where I assign a specific time frames on my day. For example, the most important one for me are things that generate value for my business and that I need to do with the full attention and the right mindset to it. I have the admin stuff as second priority because it's something that I have to do every day, but it's different than the groceries and the normal house duties.
Okay.
So the first thing I do, I simply put these categories in my head so I know that I have to do just 3 important clusters of activities during my day. So that's the first part of the method. The second part of the method is how do I structure those things over the day. The first important thing, so that's the third aspect of the method, is put joyful activities to start the day, which I do first here. It doesn't matter what do I have to do per day. I always start with an activity that gives me joy, so I have the special mental state to do whatever I need to do. When I am in a good state to work, I'm very productive and I'm very creative. That's why I normally start with these activities that generate me value and money for my business. The second type of activities are something that I need to do and I need to have also an important state, but maybe I am with the baby, or maybe I am in a bit most distracted way, so I don't have to be 100%, but let's say 80%. So that's the second priority. And definitely the last thing that I have to do, of course, but I don't need to be in full capacity, full mental body capacity. These are the less important things which I do in the end of my working day, or in the end of in the evening, things like that. So that's how I plan my day. The last advice that I want to give, especially to parents, to mompreneurs and dadpreneurs, is to put yourself and your well-being as an important priority. I have heard that many times, that parents tell me, I have no time for myself. I always have to put the children first, the house first, work first, everything first. And if there's a little bit of time in the end, I do something for me. I don't think that's a good approach, because I actually follow what people tell us, flight attendants tell us on the planes. You have to put your oxygen mask first to yourself before putting it to your child. Because if you are not well, you are not going to transmit wellness to your children. I prefer to have a mental state that is okay, that is neutral, not mega happy, because you cannot always be happy, right? But you can aim to have a joyful or a pleasant state so you can have quality time for your children. Actually, my mom is sometimes the person who says, we can do this, we have to sacrifice our time for the children. The children are the most important. Indeed, the children are very important, but we as human beings, we're also important, and we have the responsibility to be well with ourselves, to be joyful, and to have a mental state that functions so we are well to our children. I think if we spend time, but only for spending time, without the purpose, without your heart, without your mind, that's the time the children won't remember that well. Whereas if you're happy and if you're in a more okay state without being frustrated, your children will actually be happier too and enjoy this time with you. So that's advice. I'm actually super curious and very grateful if you give me your tips for productivity, if you comment on this video. That for me is very important, since I give this advice to many parents. You tell me how you feel more productive, how do you organize your time, your day while you have kids and you work. So thank you for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye bye. Keep being inspired.